Well, hello there, I'm Detroit. Do you remember my boy Plonk, whom I introduced in a recent video? Well, he's back, because it's Halloween, and my friend Grimalicious hosted a small Discord event to celebrate Spooky Month by drawing Halloween prompts. So let's discover together what Plonk has been up to this October. Well, it's somewhat topical still. The first of the prompt was to design candy that would fit the character. It was pretty lenient on what that meant, so I could have turned Plonk into candy, or made candy that Plonk would enjoy. The way I chose to take the prompt is to draw some lolliplonks. As is becoming evident, I drew 3 lollipop shapes. Somehow, that is enough to accurately represent Plonk as a whole. His character isn't that deep. So I have 1 lolliplonk, 1 lollyhammer, and 1 lollyplane. I'll be honest, I wanted to draw a 4th one, a lollygun, but it didn't look as good composition-wise to have 4 lollipops, so instead I drew the gun on the table in the background. At the end, I made the background blurry, so the gun is still there and visible, but it's not the first thing you see. It's just part of the lore, you know? For the colors, I went for a simple Halloween palette, with the dominance of orange, and purple with a bit of blue to make it pop. To make it lollipop, even. Anyway, drawing candy was fun. It's a good way to get into the Halloween vibe in the beginning of October. The second prompt to prepare for Halloween was to decorate Plonk's door. You know, when kids go trick-or-treating, it's so much nicer for them to knock on a spooky door. This posed the question of what door would Plonk actually have. Let's be honest, never mind the door, I have not thought at all of where Plonk would actually live. He just exists. I don't really see him doing normal human things. But I do know something that Plonk loves that does have doors. A plane, of course. So I'm drawing a plane door. Because I want to keep a similar style as the candy drawing, I am simplifying a lot of the mechanics of a plane door, but I think it does fit the vibe very well. The hardest part of this drawing process was to make the color scheme coherent with the previous drawing. Planes are famously very white, which goes against the cozy, warm vibe of Halloween I needed. And so I shifted the white to a pale golden yellow. I shifted all that would be grey, which, let's face it, is most of the interior of a plane, to a richer tone with a bit of hints of purple. And to stand out a bit more, I made the fabric of the folding seats and curtains deep blue. The complementary color to the blue, orange, is obviously reserved for the Plonkin, the Plonk pumpkin that is at the door. Is it Plonk turned into a pumpkin, or simply one he carved? We will never know. Finally, I enriched the shadows with warmer tones, a bit reddish to give the overall warm glow I mentioned. Oh, and yes, you noticed right, the doormat says welcome instead of welcome, and that is on purpose. Moving on now to the third prompt. Not gonna lie, this is the outlier of the 5. The style is different. The colors, the vibe, the lack of Plonk, everything is different, so I'll go faster. The prompt was to draw Plonk's favorite movies poster. Just so you know, I was on a train the whole time while I drew that on iPad, so I didn't have access to any references, nor to the set of brushes I used for the previous drawing, and so this is part of the reason why it looks different. I don't need to explain why I chose the movie Airplane for Plonk. What I did was I looked at the movie poster, which is this, and then I stopped looking at it and I drew the whole thing. I didn't want it to be a study, I wanted to be free to explore ideas and revisit the poster but my way, like I did with the clouds. Apart from the fact that it's so different from the other 4 Halloween drawings, I still like it, and it did occupy me well during the many hours of train ride I was stuck on at the time. Prompt 4 is one you could have guessed from the beginning. Designing a costume for Plonk to wear for Halloween. Of course my boy has to dress up. Again, the plane theme would be an obvious choice, except I already drew that in Plonk's original character sheet, the so-called plane mode. So I drew another object that is very much associated with Plonk. A hammer. It's always either a plane, a hammer, or a gun. But yeah, Plonk dressing up as a hammer is so funny to me. Both because it would absolutely fall over, and also because on Halloween you usually dress up as something scary. Given his backstory, Plonk finding a hammer scary is simply logical. Though that's if he can understand the concept of fear, which I'm not certain of. I made sure the hammer costume read as made of cardboard and very DIY, and held up with tape, because tape is very fun to add in drawings. Add in a sticky note so that Plonk doesn't have to talk to get candy, and Plonk can now go door to door and threaten people with a gun in exchange for sweets. I'm very happy I managed to get the vibe of the first two drawings back a bit in this costume illustration. And finally, to wrap up the Halloween event, the fifth prompt. Going door to door, unfortunately Plonk didn't get a treat, but a trick. So I have to trick Plonk, essentially. Now, to be clear, Plonk is very easy to trick, but there is only one way to do it. Promise him planes and he'll go wherever. That is, if you want to take the risk of getting shot, of course. For the last drawing, I made a single-page comic with 3 panels called Plane Inside. As a continuation of the previous illustration, Plonk knocked on the door to a house with arrows mentioning planes. But it's not a real house, it's just a facade of a whole-ass labyrinth that Plonk is now stuck into. He's now a small little hammer in a big world. I'll be honest, this feels like a very good occasion to add some lore to Plonk, like giving a mortal enemy or something. Somebody that would want his demise, or at least to pull a prank on him like that, knowing full well that Plonk isn't gonna complain, but is gonna shoot whoever that is if planes aren't on the other side of the labyrinth. But yeah, no, I have no idea who that is. Yet. The only way for you to know is to subscribe to this channel so that when I create Plonk's nemesis, you're the first to know. Or you can head to Instagram and follow me there. Observe all 5 of these cool drawings in detail, drop a like and a comment, you know, things like that. It was fun to draw a bit more of Plonk, even though I absolutely used any opportunity I could to not draw any anatomy, except Plonk's face. And that's barely even a face. Nevertheless, it counts. It's a very rare instance of me drawing the same character more than once. Besides skin previously, I don't think it ever happened on this channel, or ever. Anyway, I'm off now. Love you, bye!